So in this video we're going to do a full strip down of the EC-3000 to go through all the valves, all the O-rings, and to check everything's in good nick. So what I'm going to do is completely take it apart and put it back together, and we're just going to see how it works and describe some of the parts which may wear and how to replace them. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take all these pressure tubes off the side of the compressor. So that's all the tubes taken off the side of the compressor. So it's now easy to access all the valves down the side of the compressor. So the first thing that I'm going to check is I'm going to check this top stage valve and just check how this is looking. So when we get in here, we'll see there's a small little bullet valve in here. So this is the valve here, and what we're looking for is any damage on the tip of this bullet valve. So this one's brand new, so it's got no damage, but this may need replacing if there's any damage or any little bits of swarf which is stuck on the tip of this bullet valve. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the brass housing which is on top of here. And you'll see there's a disc valve here. this disc valve will either be stuck to this brass piece or it will be in the bottom of the compressor head. Either way, you're just going to check that this brass bit doesn't have any damage and is in good nick. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to check the valves on the side of the compressor. So in this side there's a small bullet valve with a spring, as you can see. So again, we're just checking that's in good nick and it looks all right, and this tip doesn't look like it's damaged. So now looking in this bottom section, what we're looking for is this ball. So this ball will either stay on this piece or most likely it will be in here and you'll have to get it out with some sort of scalpel knife or small instrument. So all we're looking for is that ball is still round and it's still the same size that it is there. So this is the pressure relief valve. We're just going to leave it here. It's not unlikely to go wrong. If it starts hissing out, all that shows there's a problem in this top stage valve. This we're just going to leave alone. So again, looking at the other side, going to undo this section here. And what there will be again is there's going to be a bullet valve in here. So again, we're just checking that that bullet valve is in good nick. In this one here, there's just a filter, a little brass filter, so we're going to leave that alone. What we are going to do is we're going to take this out, and there's a ball valve behind this filter, which we're going to have a look at. So again, all we're going to do is we're going to check that this ball valve looks alright and that it's still round and still fits nicely in the cone of that valve seat. So what we're going to do next is we're going to undo these 5 long bolts. So, going to remove all these bolts here, and what this is going to show us is going to show us the piston in the compressor. So now I'll be able to pull this top head off, like so, and then we can see the piston here. Right, so what we're looking at is just making sure that this top O-ring here is still intact, that this middle O-ring is still intact. I mean, this is a brand new compressor, so they all look good. What we can do now is we're going to lift up this section here. We're going to reveal the rider underneath here. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this whole piston section off. So I'm just going to lift up this O-ring here, like so. And then with a hammer and a punch, I'm going to remove this dowel pin. Once that's removed, you'll be able to lift the piston off and remove the temperature sensor probe here, like that. Now what you'll be able to see is the piston in the bottom stage of the compressor. If you pop this out, you'll be able to inspect this bottom O-ring on the piston, and there is also an O-ring in here which you should inspect as well. So that's the whole air side taken apart and checked, and now it's just a matter of putting it back together. So put this O-ring onto the piston, like so. Just move the temperature sensor out of the way. And then take your dowel pin and we're just going to put it back in. And give it a gentle tap. And then we're going to push this O-ring back down. Like so. Going to push this down and we're going to put the temperature sensor probe back in. Like that. Now we're going to take the top stage of the compressor. We're going to slide it back down, making sure this O-ring here is in. Like so. Now we can put the bolts back into the compressor. Just give them a wiggle and they should fit properly. Yeah, I'm just gonna put these down nice and tightly. Like so. Now we're going to take our brass component here, making sure that this disc is still attached to the bottom, and this dot here, it may not be seen, but just make sure that this disc you put in the way it came out. It does actually have one side which is different to the other, so we just got to make sure of that. And then what we're going to do is going to take our, oh, not that one. We're going to take our final stage bullet valve. So this is the silver one. And we're going to place it into the top stage of the compressor. So this piece here is the one with this larger thread on the top. As you can see, all the other ones have a slightly smaller thread. Just going to do that up. Right, now we're going to put these valves on the side. So, making sure that this ball valve is still stuck onto the top of here. So you might need to use some silicone grease or something else to stick it on. But once it's stuck on like that, all we're going to do is put it into this one. Like so. Then for this bottom one, I'm going to take one of these small bullet valves here, and we're going to place it in. Like so. And then with the other side of the compressor, again, we're going to take one of these bullet valves. So, again, one of these brown bullet valves. And this one here we're going to put into this middle hole here. And then we're going to take our ball valve, make sure it's stuck on the end again, and we're going to insert it into this bottom one. Like so. And then we're just going to put these side tubes on first. To make sure those are nice and tight. Like so. Then we're going to do the same on the other side. Like that, and now we're putting this top tube back on. Like that. So that's how to take apart and reassemble the air side of the EC-3000.